Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we are going to be doing a little bit different of a video than my others, and that is going to be talking about the home buying process and offering up any tips that I have for buying a home. But first we're going to make some tea because it is chilly on my porch and tea is a great companion. So today I am drinking the same stuff as the last video, which is the lemongrass tea, but I wanted to show y'all a tea that I do not recommend, and it is their ginger tea. This literally tastes like rotten lemons. No hate to the company, but this ain't it. This ain't the vibe. Do not buy this. On Moon, she is in my room now, well, me and my boyfriend's room, because my mom moved in, and she's doing pretty well. She poops herself a lot. Yeah. But there's green coming back in her eye. Her whole eye is almost green. There's still a little bit of blood that needs to clear up still, and her pupil, whatever the black part is, in the middle of a cat's eye is starting to slowly come back. So tomorrow she goes to the vet for another checkup. Hopefully we'll have some good news, and hopefully we can get the cone off her soon, because I really want to introduce her into the rest of the house and have her be able to roam and play with the other cats. So good things. Good thing. All right, so I apologize ahead of time if I forget some things, because you already know I'm a scatterbrain, so I had to write everything down, and I tried to write everything that I remember, but if I forgot something or you have any questions, just leave a comment and I'll get right back to you. Also, I literally just woke up, so I have not brushed my teeth yet, and this webcam seems to like really bring out my teeth, so just ignore that. Disregard. Don't pay attention to my teeth. So, this is probably going to be a very long video because there is a lot to cover. So just get comfy, make some tea, make some snacks, grab your pen and paper, and let's get it poppin'. If you want to buy a house, you're going to need a couple things, and the first one is obviously good credit or decent credit, and then another one is you're going to need job history, at least about 2 years. You are also going to need to make a high enough wage to cover the bills and the mortgage, and it's nothing crazy. You can get away with like a $15 an hour job with owning a home, as long as you budget and manage your money correctly. I always like to tell people, if you're able to save money right now, I would highly recommend doing that, and then try to get a job and stick with it. It doesn't have to start off at that wage. You can always work your way up. Like I said, you need to have at least like 2-3 years at that job. So you'll just have to work your way up so you get a wage that is good enough to cover it. Or if you can find a job that starts at that, that's awesome. Also, my thing was that I always used to like to take my cash out and keep it in a cash box. But with buying a house, all the money that you use for the down payment and closing costs and stuff have to come from your bank account. So there has to be a paper trail linked to the money, so you can't pay, thousands and thousands of dollars in cash. It usually has to be a check, and they also like to see where that money is coming from. First, you're going to need to find a mortgage person. I asked my sister for one because she knew this guy for like 20 years, and he knew my other sister, so it worked out really well. So you can ask your friends, your family for recommendations. You can look online. They are going to be the person that runs all your credentials and see if you qualify to have a mortgage. So some things that they're going to ask you is going to be like your wage, your job history, how many hours you work, your social security number, and your year-to-date earnings. I have a bad habit of leaving my pay stubs in my mailbox at work. I know, there's a lot, but I got lucky because I was making the phone call in the back office or the back closet at work where my mailbox is, and he was like, "Do you know your year-to-date earnings?" And I'm like, "Actually, I do. I have them all right here." So usually it doesn't take very long for them to run everything. It took like an hour or two, and then I already had the message. And I was really scared because I was like, I feel like I'm just running into this head first. I don't even know if I'm going to get accepted. I don't know if I'm going to have enough money to cover it. But I just went for it, and I had a voicemail that said, hey, call me back when you get a chance and we can go over your numbers. And I was like, does that mean I got it? And it did. So he called me back, and what they do is they're going to go over how what your spending limit is. So that is just your limit. You can look for under it, and I recommend looking for under it. So for example, mine was 100,000. So I looked for homes under 100,000, or I tried to avoid right at 100,000. So I was looking for like 95 and under because I didn't want to go like right to my limit. I wanted to still find something that was low. When they're getting all your information, when they ask how much money you have in like savings and want to spend to it, they kind of try to like put in what your down payment would be. And the higher, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but the higher the down payment, the lower your monthly payment will be. And then also when they call you back after they've ran everything, they can also give you an estimate of what your monthly payment might be and what your closing costs could be, which are the costs that you are going to be paying once you finally close on the house. Upon acceptance, you are going to want to find a realtor. If you don't know anybody, you can ask your mortgage person because it's really important to find people that communicate well. My mortgage person knew my sister, so we got along, and then my mortgage person, I don't know what the right term is, so I'm calling him my mortgage person. My mortgage person knew the realtor that I was using, and the realtor was actually my homegirl's mother-in-law. So it worked out. They communicated really well. Right away, he already sent over my paperwork, and they communicated back and forth really, really well. And that is something that's really important. So if you don't know anyone, you can always ask the mortgage person. That way, the person that they recommend is also going to be someone that they communicate well. There is going to be the person that's going to be showing you the listings. Mine was super quick. As soon as there was a listing, she would send me updates. They're going to show you the listings that are either at or under your price range. And then a good realtor is important as well because if they love what they do, they're going to take the time to get to know what you like and what you don't like. So my realtor knew that I really wanted a one floor home, and I really was loving the whole bungalow vibe, but the one that we saw wasn't really the best. And she was also really great because she would like tell me if there was a house that I was interested in. She'd be like, oh, it's not in a good area, or it has an old roof, or stuff like that. And that's really important that you have an honest realtor because it's not just about making that money, because they're going to be honest with you and they're going to want to find the best home for you. And that was really helpful because as soon as the house that I am currently owning was posted, she sent me it and she was like, you want to go see it tomorrow? And I did. And then I put an offer down that day because I fell in love, and it was exactly what I was looking for. And she took the time to understand my likes and dislikes, and she was able to find me my dream home. So that was really, really important. They are also going to be the person that you go to when you want to make an offer, and they're going to handle all that paperwork. If you are buying a house, be prepared for a lot of paperwork. Mine was all online, which I felt was like harder than if you were to do it in person because you have to be focused when you're just trying to be chilling at home in your pajamas or something. So that was hard, but it was simple because they would send me it and I downloaded this app called DocuSign, and it would just like transfer magically the documents over. So I was able to just sign it real quick on there, and then it would send it back over to them. Some things that you want to look for when buying a home is one, high taxes. Your taxes, you're either going to decide to pay or you can roll them into your mortgage. At least for my area, I don't know how other areas are, but for where I'm in Pennsylvania, you don't want to go over $3,000 for like something that's just like an average home. You're going to also want to look at the heating. That's really important because heat can get expensive during the winter, especially if you live somewhere that's really cold or colder. So some people say oil heat isn't that expensive. Some people say oil heat is crazy expensive. So I just completely avoided oil heat at all costs. So you want to look for gas or electric for heating because oil, depending on the size of the home and how much you use and all that, it can be very expensive. Good to look to see if anything was updated. So it might list if the roof was updated. It might list, electrical or something like that. I saw that the electrical was completely replaced in 2009, and I want to say no, part of the roof wasn't. But that's a good sign because the previous owners were updating things. They were caring for this home. If it's an old home and it looks outdated and it nothing was listed that it was updated at all, I would try to stay away from that because the last thing you want is to fall into a money pit unless that's what you are looking for as a fixer upper. But if you're not looking for something that you want to put a lot of money into or flip it or anything like that, then I would stay away from that. You can also ask for what's called a seller's disclosure, and what that is it discloses if there was any flooding that they know of in the time that they lived there, if anything was replaced, the gutters were cleaned, just things like that. So definitely ask for that from your realtor because that's super helpful. Another thing you want to look for is if it says the words as is. So you can negotiate after the inspection if your inspection or if the purchase is upon contingency of the inspection. So if you aren't digging what you hear during the inspection, you can still drop out of the offer. So if it's as is, that means they are not going to negotiate with you on anything. So if the inspector says that like this needs to be replaced or something like that, whether it's small or big, you can't go to the homeowner and be like, can you replace this for me? Because especially if they're getting other people that are interested in it, they're not going to want to do that. Another thing is HOA fees. My mortgage person even told me about this. And originally, I really wanted to live in a trailer park because I thought that was always good vibes. But it's not cheap because if you don't pay for the whole place in itself, you're gonna have your mortgage and also your HOA fee, which is a homeowners association fee. So most of the time, these are if you want to purchase a condo, a trailer. Sometimes townhomes in communities have HOA fees, and those are basically a rent. You're paying rent for the home that you own. So, and a lot of times they won't let you do certain things. So you have to go to them if you want to, change the house at all. You can't have certain things on your lawn or certain things showing in your window. When you find the home you want, I recommend to make an offer as soon as possible, depending on how the market is. Right now, or at least when I bought a house in August, or I bought it probably a month before that, but I closed in August. The market was booming, and interest rates were low, and everybody was moving and selling their homes. And as soon as something was listed, there was an offer down already. So she even told me, she was like, I wouldn't hold your breath on this. If this is what you want, I would go for it. And I did. I texted her that night. I said, I want to make an offer. Sometimes they will ask you what you want to put as the offer. So sometimes people think like, if you put below asking price, that's good. But I had a really good realtor and she would tell me if the price that they were asking was too high. And she was super familiar with the market and she didn't even ask what I wanted to put. She put asking price down, which was great because there was already another offer. And mind you, I looked at this house, I want to say the day after it was posted, and there was already another offer on it. But since I put asking price and they didn't, they took mine. Offer is accepted. You are going to need to get home insurance before closing. Sometimes it's cheaper if you bundle it with your car insurance, and you can go online and get quotes, or you can also ask for your recommendation from your mortgage person. I love my mortgage person, and I just had him recommend me someone. And don't get me wrong, this guy got me a good rate. I went from Progressive to Liberty Mutual, and I went from like 120 or something like that a month. I don't remember, but to like 101 for car insurance. And I forget what my homeowner's insurance was, but they just bundled that together. He got me a good rate, but he wasn't the easiest to work with. Again, no hate to this guy. I got a lot of laughs out of this, so it was a good story. I'll remember it for the rest of my life. But there was just a lot of back and forth. So he sent me the first paperwork to sign. It said that my house was a ranch style home and it was built in 1970. My house is a bungalow and it was built in 1917. So I sent that over and he had to fix that. And then he resent it and my name said Mary. My name's Marie, but he put Mary. So then I told him about that and he had to resend it back. And I don't know if it was him or his assistant or whoever was sending the paperwork because they had a different name, but one of them, I don't know what was going on. But then this was the best part. I get resent the paperwork and it says that my occupation is analytics. Obviously, that's not my occupation because I can't even pronounce it. And the highest form of education was a bachelor's degree. And I was like, well, all right. I didn't know that I graduated college. And I texted him and he goes, well, that doesn't affect the rate, but I'll change it. What's the accurate information? I'm like, customer service, high school diploma. I did go to college, but I dropped out. So that's why I was laughing because I'm like, sir, I don't think I graduated college. You're also going to need to schedule an inspection and an appraisal. I'm not 100% sure if inspections are required, but I highly recommend it. It's completely worth the money because that's going to let you know if you're getting into a money pit. I mean, they can't go too in depth with it. They can't move things around, but they're going to cover a lot. And I went through the guy that my realtor person recommended. And again, you can ask the mortgage people and your realtor for recommendations when they say, hey, you need an insurance person or hey, you need an inspector, because they're going to get you some great people or who they deal with, and it's going to make things easier in the long run. So she got me a really busy guy that was really great and thorough. I was literally freaking out because I was like, great, he's going to tell me like the roof is bad or like this is shot and I'm going to have to back out of the offer. And he was great. He was really, really great. It was like 300 or something for the inspection, and it can range from like 3 to 500, I think, or up to 500 around there. So again, it's pricey, but it is really, really worth the money. And it gave me peace of mind because I kind of knew what I was getting into. Like he told me that the gutters needed to be replaced and like little things. And I was also able to get the previous owners to fix a lot of things. So that was really great because that was less things that I had to worry about when coming into my first home that I own. An appraisal is required with the mortgage. What an appraisal is, it makes sure that the price that you are offering matches the actual value of the property. So they're going to look at the property itself and they're also going to look at the prices of properties around that one. And if the property value or what they get is lower than what you're asking, the bank isn't going to give you that mortgage. But if it's lower, I dropped something. If it's higher, like the property value is higher than what you asked, it stays that way. And my appraisal was about like $500, and that's something that they just schedule for you. You don't have to be there for it, they just do it. So once it is time for closing, the day before you're going to have a final walkthrough, which basically you go through and you make sure that they didn't leave anything that you didn't want them to leave. The previous homeowners were actually super groovy. They left some cool stuff. Well, their agent sent to my agent a list of stuff and asked if I wanted it. And it was things like outdoor solar powered like fairy lights. like the pallets for the basement and stuff like that, and some other stuff, but I can't really remember. But you're gonna go do that, and that's just gonna make sure that the house is looking the way it should be looking. And then the day after that, you're gonna go into closing. This is physically in person. This is where you might get to meet the old owners. I did, which was super cool. They're really groovy folks. And you're gonna sit down, you're gonna sign all the paperwork. So your agent, mine was there, so yours probably will be there, and then you're gonna have the person handling all the paperwork. Um, it goes pretty quick, maybe like an hour tops. They pretty much just explain everything to you and let you know what you're about to sign. And we had some good chats in between there, so it was good vibes, good people. I went through Remax. I don't know what other places are like, but the one I went through, everybody was great. 100 out of 10 recommend. And it was just a really good and easy experience. I was really anxious coming into it. I didn't know what to expect, and the people that I chose ended up being really great and helping walk me through it. And also at closing, you're obviously going to get the keys and you are going to get the title for the home. And then another thing is you're going to want to watch for spam mail once you actually have the home. People are going to send you things and it's going to sound like an official like address. You can always double check with your realtor and send her pictures of it if they're a good realtor, and they'll let you know if it's spam or legit. Most of the time it's not. I 2 times I got things and it was like from the state capitol and like office number and everything. I got things saying pay this number or pay this amount for the title of your home. And it's usually nothing crazy. It's like 80-90 bucks, but it's like, how would I be here owning this home if I didn't have the title? Now that I'm editing this, I realize I said title, not deed. I don't know if they're the same thing, but I meant to say deed, by the way. I hope that was helpful and you guys were able to get some stuff from this. Again, sorry if I missed anything. I literally had to write everything out. I'm terrible with actually speaking things. Like in my mind, it sounds great. When I try to actually talk, it doesn't sound so great. So hopefully this was beneficial to y'all. And hopefully if you like this video, you like, comment, subscribe, or share, and stick around for some more.